scene from Columbia Pictures' Can't Hardly Wait. Now, we weren't there, but that might be what it looked like at a homecoming party at a sprawling multi-million-dollar Boca Raton home on Saturday, except cops say the parents in this case were home and even helped organize the event. Police were responding to a noise disturbance when they found 4 charter buses blocking the road, 4 underage girls unconscious on the lawn, and about 500 teens inside the house, many of them consuming alcohol. Cops arrested the homeowner parents, Jeannie and Shlomo Rasabi, for having an open house party. The Rasabis say they only expected about 150 of their son's classmates, and they have no idea who arranged for the buses. Heritage High School says we are reviewing the circumstances to determine whether any of our school policies were violated. If any policies were violated, those issues will be dealt with appropriately and confidentially. We encourage parents to communicate with other parents to confirm arrangements and supervision when children engage in off-campus, non-school activities. All right, joining me now, Adam Harmelin. He is the attorney for the Rasabis. Adam, let me start with you. This is a beautiful house in an exclusive neighborhood. Why on earth would your clients invite all these kids over, high school kids?
Well, they didn't invite all the kids over. They invited 150 kids.
All right, let me change my question. Why in the world would they invite 150 high school kids into their beautiful home?
This was actually an investment property that the Rasabis own in Boca Raton, Florida. And their children asked them to throw a after homecoming party. The Rasabis did what they thought was the responsible thing. We all know what happens after homecomings, after proms. Rather than have the kids out and about in the city, they thought they'd keep them safe and keep them within their supervision.
All right. And you say supervision. Explain to us how the party was supervised if all these people are showing up that weren't invited and there was flowing alcohol.
Well, it wasn't exactly flowing alcohol. I think that's been a little bit distorted. What happened was the homecoming ended about 11 o'clock. They had 150 guests that were supposed to be there that all had wristbands that were given out by the Rasabis. Unfortunately, those wristbands were replicated by many other kids, what we like to call party crashers, who ended up coming to the party. The Rasabis took reasonable steps to have this party supervised so that no trouble broke out, no alcohol was consumed or possessed. They hired 3 chaperones/security guards, basically adults, to watch over the party to make sure this didn't happen. Now, what originally happened was at 12:15 was when the party was supposed to begin. These buses show up, and of course, they unload. Hundreds of kids come into the house all at once. The police were called out at 12:29 a.m. They arrived on location, so it was 14 minutes that this party lasted, essentially.
All right, how did they get past security? Isn't there a security gate at the sanctuary, this exclusive place for all these homes? Isn't there a gate that they have to get past?
There absolutely is, and the Rasabis gave a guest list to the security guards and also indicated that the guests, invited guests, would have wristbands on. And at some point, they let buses in that should not have come in.
All right, well, here's what the property manager told us, John Croxon. He said, we told the homeowner they could bring the children in the buses. This was requested several days to a week prior to the party. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true, but unfortunately, there were other buses that came that were not authorized to be there.
Okay.
And I guess the security guards could not distinguish between the two.
All right. Here's the question. How concerned, I mean, how much in touch were they with what was happening if you got kids that are unconscious on the lawn?
Well, like I said, this happened in such a short period of time. It was 12:15 that the buses unloaded. At 12:29, Ms. Rasabi gets a phone call from the Boca Raton Police Department that there's somebody on the outside of the house on the lawn. She had no idea that was happening. She walks outside and contacts the police who had just arrived. And at that point, the party was over.
All right. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. I got more questions for you. We're also going to hear from a local reporter from down there. We're going to talk more about this. Also, take your calls on this one. 1-877-TEL-HLN. That plus this.
We got a report that there were 4 people that were sick.
Yeah, I checked the pulse. They had the pulse, but they're not reacting to anything. They're completely out.
How old is the child?
Underage.
So they were all drinking.
Uh-huh.
That's the 911 call that was made. Let's take a look at the house that it was made from. Really a sprawling investment property of the Rasabis down in Boca Raton. Hey, look at that. Is that a yacht parked outside the house? We've got a swimming pool, nice circular drive. Here's the yard where the kids are passed out. buses that dropped off hundreds and hundreds of kids blocking the road up here. What a party. Take a look at the inside of this house. It is gorgeous. There's the outside. I'll tell you what, whether I lived in the house or owned it as investment property, I would not invite 150 teenagers to hang out there. But the Rasabis did. Their lawyer is with us, Adam Harmelin, and he has an explanation. You know what, Adam? You are a good lawyer because I'm buying part of your explanation here. If that timeline works out and the kids show up drunk and the kids have falsified these bands that your client said were used to gain access and entry into the party, looks like you have a defense here.
Well, that's exactly what happened. You had a bunch of party crashers who falsified wristbands to get into a party, and they essentially crashed the party. These kids that were allegedly, or teenagers that were allegedly outside the residence, one passed out on the lawn and other ones were sick. They consumed this alcohol prior to getting to the Rasabis' residence. The Rasabis are responsible parents who have two great high school kids. Both are honor students. And have
unfortunately, and you know what? It's an unfortunate thing that you really can't. I learned that lesson, though. When my daughter was in high school, there were no parties thrown at our house because I knew what would happen at these parties. I mean, did they think that they wouldn't be drinking?
Yes, absolutely. The Rasabis went out and bought food and non-alcoholic beverages that were in the house for the kids, and they had no idea that the kids would be drinking. And they obviously consumed this liquor or alcohol prior to getting to the house.
Well, did they bring any there? Because there were some, did they bring any inside the house? Did you find any inside the house afterwards? I see a lot of red cups, and usually those red cups are filled with beer or something, right?
Well, they had non-alcoholic beverages there, and as far as they were concerned, that's what the children or teenagers were consuming. I did see police photographs of a total of maybe 12 bottles of beer among 500 students.
All right.
It looked like most of that was outside.
Adam, they've got a good lawyer. They've got a good lawyer.
Thank you.
What are they facing? They're not facing time or just a fine or something, right?
Well, they're charged with second-degree misdemeanor in Florida. It's a Florida state statute of throwing an open house party.
All right, keep us up to date, Adam. Appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you for having me.